We're going to talk about what's called systems of equations. Okay, it's also called linear system. So either of those phrases will refer to the same thing. And what a linear system is basically two equations that each have two variables, and you're finding a solution of both equations. So basically, if you have an equation or a graph of an equation that looks like this, and a second graph that looks like this, where are you going to find the solution point for each of those? The solution points that's shared by each of these? It's the what? It's the intersection. Okay, so what you're doing here is you're going to find the intersection of two equations, and that is the solution of your linear system, or your system of equations. Okay. So the way that we're going to do this is use our calculators. Okay, so let's say we take the following example. Okay, if I give you the following two equations, and I ask you to solve this system. Okay, so you're going to be given two equations. Each of them will have two unknowns, x and y, okay, and you need to find the intersection of these. So where do these two equations intersect one another? We're going to start by using the graphing capability of our calculators to find that intersection. Okay, so in order to graph this on our calculators, what are we going to have to do? Can we go into the y editor and just write these equations? Eddie? You have to put it in slope-intercept form, right? Because in this y editor form of your calculator, you have to isolate and solve for y. So you can either do that by hand, or you can use your calculator to do it. I'm going to go through both ways. Let's say we do it by hand. This first equation is pretty easy to solve for y, right? Y already has a coefficient of 1. So in order to isolate y on one side of this equation, what do we have to do to each side? Move the other terms. So if we move the 3x over, we get y is equal to 3x minus 7, or negative 7 plus 3x. Either one will work. Okay, and then to solve for y in the second equation, you're going to follow the same steps. Move the non-y terms over. So minus 2x, we get 2y is equal to negative 2x plus 11. And then isolate your y, and you would do that by undoing the operation in front. The operation is multiplying. You undo multiplying by dividing by that number. So if we divide every term by a 2, we'll get our remaining values. Oops, I wrote this number wrong. Hang on. This should be an 11, or a 10, sorry. Okay, so this will give you a nice, easy number to work with. Okay, so here are our two equations written in slope-intercept form. Okay, now, if you're going to use your calculator to find these in the home screen, we can do that using what method or what key combinations? We want to solve for y, so we can go to the solve capability, algebra tab F2, choose solve, type in the equation exactly as it appears, negative 3x plus y equals negative 7, solve for y, and we confirm y equals 3x minus 7. Do the same thing for the other equation. Again, use the solve capability, type in the equation as it appears, 2x plus 2y equals 10. Solve for y. We get y is equal to 5 minus x, which is the same thing here, right? We just reordered the terms. Either way is fine. Okay, but you get your equation solved for y. Once you have that, okay, so that's step 1. Solve each equation for y. Step 2 is then you're going to enter those equations in the y editor. Okay, so we're going to go to the y editor of our calculator, which is green diamond F1, and we're going to enter these two equations. So we already have the y equals, so we're just going to type in 3x minus 7 for our first equation. We're going to type in negative x plus 5 or 5 minus x. Either of those are fine for the second equation. And then your final step is you will hit the graph key. Now, in order to hit the graph key, the first thing I want to do is make sure your window settings are correct. Your window settings, which is green diamond F2, should be the default of negative 10, positive 10 for the minimum and maximums for both the x and the y, with a scaling of 1 for each of those. And so if you click on green diamond F2 and these aren't the numbers that appear, go ahead and enter those. So negative 10 is your minimum x, positive 10 is your maximum x, your x scale is 1, and then the same thing for the y's. Minimum negative 10, maximum 10, the scale of 1. Once you change those, then you can hit your graph key, green diamond F3, and your graph will appear. It'll show each of your equations. Okay, and so your solution point was the what? Solution point of this system is the intersection of the two graphs. And so we can find that under the Math tab, F5. Go to Intersection. Okay, now you need to follow these steps. This is a lot like the interval notation stuff. Okay, I strongly encourage you to write down these steps so you can follow along when it comes time to have to do this.
So F5 is intersection?
So F5, choose intersection. Okay, now here's the directions that it's going to ask every time you choose intersection. Okay, it's going to ask you to identify the first and the second curve, or what lines do you want to intersect. Okay, it'll do that automatically for you. So here you see the first curve. It chooses the equation 1 that you typed in. Just hit enter to confirm that, and then the directions change to second curve. Okay, second curve, it automatically chooses y2, which you entered as negative 5 or negative x plus 5. Again, just hit enter to choose it. And now the next directions are the ones that can cause confusion. It's going to ask you lower bound and upper bound. Okay? All you need to do is make sure that the lower bound's to the left of your solution point, upper bound's to the right. We've done something like this before. And there were other times, and do you remember what instructions I gave you for lower bound? Just pick the furthest left point on your window, which is, what's the minimum x value? Negative 10. So type in negative 10. So we're going to enter negative 1, 0. So we choose our lower bound. You don't need to worry about the y coordinate. Just hit negative 10, enter. Okay, so there's our lower bound. And then the next direction is upper bound. So again, you pick a point that you know for sure is to the right of this solution point. So really we could pick 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. But just to be on the safe side, let's pick the furthest to the right, which is positive 10. Hit enter, and it gives you your solution point. It finds the intersection between the upper and lower limit. And so what is our solution for this problem? 3, 2. Our solution point, given a system of equations, is going to be written as a set of coordinates, the x coordinate followed by the y coordinate. So here is our solution. So what that means is this is the set of coordinates that are solutions to both this equation and this one. It's the solution. It is a solution in both of those equations. And that's what your linear system is. You're finding what is a solution that works for both equations.